Okay, so here is our grid layout for our positive negative relief sculpture. You can see that I've gone and put a 1/2 inch border around everything and then 2-inch squares with a 1/4 inch border. You need the 1/4 inch border around everything to keep your stencils in. Now I have for you some different ways to do this. If you look really closely, example 1 is what I showed you yesterday in class. Now, I'm also going to show you some more examples that look like that will use stencils that are similar to this. Okay, and this looks really bad, but it will end up looking like this. So what you need to do is you need to figure out how you want to do this, or you could do a combination of both. So you could do one that's a relief, a positive or negative, and then you could do the positive or negative cut out. You could do it folded out. You could do it however you wanted to. Now this actually stencil would look really good popped out at you. Especially with these little things, because these are floaters right now, and if I cut the black out of this, that's going to come completely out. It's not going to work. The only things that are attached to the borders are this, 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 and this, because there's nothing attached to this, so it would pop right out. So that really wouldn't work. You will also need a black board, and you will need a graphite stick, just like you did with your silhouettes, to trace onto the back. So I'm going to just quickly trace down here one time and show you what I mean by the different ways that you can do this. So I'm going to trace this really quickly. Because I want to keep those little things in, I have to figure out how I can do that. Now I'm not being extremely neat. You should be neat. There are plenty of scrap pieces of 2-inch by 2-inch squares, so you can create these little stencils. I can barely see it, but it's going to work anyway. So first I'm going to cut out my positive space. So I'm cutting out the white in this, which you saw. I also have it printed out, so this is black. Okay, so now I have a positive and I have a negative space cut out. Now this is not the most neatest one I've ever done in my life because I was trying to kind of hurry so I could get my examples done, and I know I time-lapsed it, but that's okay. Now I could have, instead of cutting them out, I could have, you know, left these in here and cut out flaps and folded those up so they would be all in. I could have done that. You can test it out on your practice sheets. Now I have two that look like this, that are like this example. And I can trace these onto here, or I could draw them on here, but I would trace them. I would do the back just like you normally do, but for this sake, I'm just going to draw them in here real quick. Now, I would always test one out first, so that way I know what it's going to look like. Before I cut anything, because once you cut this, you know, you're done. There's nothing you really can do besides start over. And then I have this one, like this. And the cool part is that I have these nice edges, so I can go right to the edge with them because of my borders. Whereas if I were to cut this out in here, it probably wouldn't work as well. Now remember, if you do this one, you don't want to have the exact same design repeated because you kind of want that positive-negative space relationship. Or you could think about what you cut out and what you don't cut out. So I'm going to cut these lightning bolts out. Okay, so I have everything cut the way I want it to. For these that fold, you're not going to fold on this side because this is the back side. You can do whatever you want on this back side. It's not going to show up because you want something nice and clean, even though it's not nice and clean. And then you fold up. Sometimes super simple things work really awesome. I accidentally cut all the way through on that. I'm just going to pop it out. It was supposed to fold up, but that did not work the way I wanted it to. So you can do something like this all the way through it. You can do something like this all the way through it, or you can combine the two and do something like this and then something like this. Now I know that sounds super confusing, but really as long as you do an every other one thing, everything will work out fine. So this is just my example row. Obviously, if I were doing this, I would continue it all the way through, or if I was doing this, I would continue it all the way through. And it will look really neat once you put your collage behind it, because then those collage colors come through and it turns out really quite cool. So this is your assignment. Remember to look at the examples that I showed you and to have fun and be neat. Straight line should be straight, curved line should be curved.